You're watching Enterprise Nation TV with O2 Business.
So Shaun, welcome to Enterprise Nation TV. Thank you very much for joining us. So first of all, do you want to take me way back to what you were doing before Activity Superstore in your business career and how you ended up becoming the boss?
Way back, when I left university, I joined the large corporate world. And I worked for companies like Glaxo and Barclays Bank in the Barclaycard credit card business. And Thomson Holidays within the TUI group, and so I worked for 20 odd years going up the slippery, climbing the slippery ladder of corporate life, and decided about 15 years ago I had enough. I'd had enough of all the politics, I've had enough of all the corporate rubbish that you have to put up with as you go further in your career in large corporates. So I decided that I wanted to get involved with a business that I could be an owner of with a smaller number of people and do something for myself for the rest of my career. So I started looking at opportunities for management buy-ins and I was backed by a particular corporate finance house, Deloitte's, and they were my advisors as I looked for various projects around the place to do a management buy-in into. And I did my first management buy-in around 2004. That ran for 2 years and went bust horribly. One of the worst experiences of my life. I'll never do that again, I promise myself. However, got up off the floor after that particular experience and started looking for more projects, which is when I then came across Activity Superstore in around 2006 and started exploring doing not just a management buy-in but a combination, a buy-in and a buyout. So in those days we used to call them bimbos, buy-in, management buyout. So there was the managing director of that business at the time, called Vicky, had been around in the business for about 10 years, but had only ever worked in that business. I'd been a chief exec or an MD of a number of other businesses before, so I was backed by a private equity house to come into the business and work with Vicky as a partnership, if you like, to buy Activity Superstore from the original founder, the original entrepreneur, who wanted to go and do other things, and we took it from that. I think probably it would be the end of the early stage. We took it from the end of that stage into where it is at the moment, which is a sort of medium-sized business.
I'm just going to move this back a bit, actually. So what was it that attracted you? Because I looked into the history of Activity Superstore. Wasn't it started above a shop? Yeah. So it's a lot bigger now. But so what was it? What was it that attracted you to that business?
Well, it was started above a shop in Saffron Walden. There were 4 people, including the founder, and he had a great story in that he was a member of the ruling class. He was old Etonian, family-owned, half of Scotland, and he had a biplane, as you do, and used to play with it up at Duxford Air Base. And as part of funding his biplane, he used to take Red Letter Days, who were the founder of this whole sector, gift experiences, he used to take their customers on experiences, and decided one day he could do that. So he started his own business above the shop in Saffron Walden. So that early stage, well, not early stage, that start-up, my business partner Vicky, who was the buyout part of our bimbo, was part of that team, that first 4. So she was right there on day one of the business. Now, by the time I turned up, the business had grown to about 30 people or so, and was ready to go into a next phase of growth. It was a business which needed more business disciplines, it needed a management skeleton, it needed much better finance focus and controls, because it had been a startup, and therefore it had got to a stage where it needed to go into what I would call a more professional management structure, and that's my training. So I'm not a startup person per se, because of my large corporate background. But this here was an opportunity of what I saw was a really good business that could jump into the next phase of growth with some good discipline and some good structures around it. And that's what attracted me, I guess. I could see a big opportunity for growing it quite fast.
Was it already being sold in the big retailers at that point? Well, they were in you were in Debenhams and Boots and various other places. Was it in there when you bought it?
At that time, it was in a couple of those retailers, but there was a model there that we could then take into other retail stores, into other retail environments. And also, the business hadn't really addressed the digital opportunity. So that was a big gap in the business, and there was just so much growth available, we thought, but the appetite of the founder was elsewhere. He had got, like a lot of founders, like a lot of startups, he had got completely impatient with the boring side of running businesses, the dealing with all the HR issues, the dealing with monthly management accounts, all that sort of thing. He wanted to go and be creative elsewhere. So he went off and started something else. So he had got the foothold in retail, but it was never going to progress because it was all a bit chaotic. Because it was all a bit, everything centered around the founder.
Yeah.
There was no robust structures. There were no there was no easy way of devolving responsibility and working with other people within the organisation. Like a lot of businesses from founders, the founder has to let go and often finds it very, very difficult to let go and put structures in around him to help him or her, to help him or her with that business growth.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our members getting into big retailers with their products or whatever they're offering is a massive thing for them. So I know you weren't there for the first deals that you did, but what is it you do to convince the big guys to stock your products, and what advice would you give to other businesses looking to do that?
Probably three things. Firstly, minimise the risk for the retailer. If the retailer believes, and particularly when you're pitching to a retailer, you are not pitching to a decision maker. You are pitching to an assistant buyer, somebody who will need then to take it to the next level in the chain and the next level and the next level. So you have to think about what they're considering as risk. So it's risk to their business financially, but also risk to their career, risk to their reputation within their organisation, etc. So minimise that risk for them. That's the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say is you can, with retailers, encourage them to work with you if they think they're going to miss out on something that everybody else is going to exploit. It's the kind of the lemming behaviour thing that we see in all sorts of business, whether it's banks or investment bankers getting behind the latest .com, IPO or whatever. So you can exploit that a little bit as well in terms of 3 or 4 other retailers are going to do this. We think this is going to be the next hot thing, next season, and I've just minimised your risk for you. So you make it a little bit of, well, I can do this for my company, my retailer, because it's not betting the farm, but also if I don't do it, I might look a bit stupid. And then I think the third thing is make it really easy for the person you're dealing with for the buyer. Because they are all in retail, understaffed, overworked, down at that level. They have an extraordinary amount of things to do, way more than you would anticipate from the outside. Often they're overseas on buying trips, for weeks on end. So if you can make this so simple that they don't actually have to do much, you do all the running rounds, you do all the legwork, you do all the dirty stuff, then at least you've got a chance to get a listing. That's how you make it. My personal view is that's how you make it an easier job to get into retail.
Brilliant. So what would you say, the key things you've done then to grow it? Because you said it was 30 when you took it on, and now, what are you now, over 100? Is it over 100 staff?
No, it's less than that.
Right.
But as we've grown it, technology has enabled us to keep a cap on the number of people within the organisation.
Right.
So just as an example, we used to have a contact centre of about 50 people maximum at Christmas, taking phone calls, talking to customers. When you use a call centre, you have peaks, massive peaks at certain times of the day. 9 till 10 when people get into work, 1 and 2 at lunchtime, and 6 and 7 in the evening when people go home from work. So you have to staff to the peaks. We do virtually everything now on email and live chat. We hardly pick the phone up anymore, and that's driven largely by the customer, but also we've encouraged it. So now we can staff for the average level of contact, because we can deal with people on email in the next 12 hours. It's not like a phone call which is immediately demanding. So we've been able to take our numbers in our call centre down from 50 to about 15, even though our volume has doubled. So that technology, very simple technology, gives you tremendous scale opportunity. You can grow your business in scale without growing your overheads by using technology in quite a simple way, not robots or AI or whatever, simple technology. So we've grown the business very strongly. How have we done it? We've done it with innovation, better products, more products, different types of products, getting our average price down. So our average price when we bought the business was about £115 retail selling price. Our average price now is about 55. So that's about innovation, about bringing new products to market. So for instance, we launched afternoon tea for two as a gift experience, which hadn't been seen before, at £34 for 2 people. So it's a really easy gift, and we sell tens of thousands of those every Christmas. So bringing the price down has enabled us to access a new customer type, whereas before it was a bit niche with an average price of 115 for a gift. You are a bit AB, possibly into C1. We are now BC1, C2. So we're right in the volume sector of the market, which has also opened other retailers up to us. But interestingly, we've been in and out of a number of retailers in that time period as well. So it doesn't always work. We've been in and out of Primark, for instance. We've been in and out of Wilko. We've been in and out of Marks and Spencer's. So it doesn't always work. And then you have to be able to say, it just doesn't work in this retail environment. Yeah. We need to stop now and go and do something else.
Yeah. I mean, you've run it through some difficult economic times.
Yeah.
And your product is a luxury.
Yeah.
So how have you coped? Why are you still around, basically?
Yeah. I mean, we bought the business in 2006 when, quite frankly, on investment, banks were throwing money around the place. You could get investment from almost anywhere to do something. And then, of course, the crash was in 2007, and then it got worse, the global recession, 2008, 2009, etc. So, yeah, we went through some very difficult times. A couple of things, I suppose, that we did. We were very, very tight on our cost base, and we kept our people with us in terms of why we're doing this. So communication with our people about, we're now going to have a wage freeze for the next 3 years because of this recession, because of what it's doing to our business, etc. So getting our own people on side with that was really powerful. At the same time, continuing to innovate, continuing to develop, and getting our average price down. That was one of the keys in the recession. We did that because it was a hedge against exactly what you've just described, recession really hurting us because we were a luxury product at £115 on average. So by getting our lower price products into place, it was protection for us. And they just grew and grew and grew. For instance, if we'd stuck with the old range, with things like hot air ballooning and microlighting and gliding, we would have gone bust. By launching things like afternoon tea, comedy night for 4, paintball for 2, steam train ride for 2, all around 30 quid, we were able to keep the business driving, keep the business growing. So it was making a virtue, I suppose, of the recession. Yeah. And since we came out of recession, things have still been very tight. And we were just discussing earlier about this Christmas. This Christmas hasn't really taken off yet, and we're less than 3 weeks away, and it's very subdued. And I think that's just a new reality for businesses like mine, in that the decades before the crash, I'm not sure we'll ever come back, or certainly not in my lifetime anyway. So you have to get used to everything's a bit tight.
Yeah. So on to your latest innovation, which is the VR experience in Debenhams. So do you want to explain what that is and what we're hoping it will achieve?
Absolutely. About a year and a half ago, I had a conversation with somebody who was in the field of large exhibitions and activations and brand PR, etc. And he said virtual reality is sort of coming of age. And I always had in my head that virtual reality was this very blocky animation type thing, that was a bit clumsy or just for gamers. But he described how he thought it could work for gift experiences. And I've always wanted to find a way, ever since I've been in the business really, of demonstrating a gift experience in store, because it is an exciting gift, driving a Ferrari or going on a helicopter tour or whatever. They are exciting gifts to give and to receive, but to communicate that in a store is very difficult, because I've got a box with a voucher in it and I've got nothing else really. I can't demonstrate it. But with virtual reality, I can demonstrate it. So I can put a 360-degree film, live action film, into a VR headset, onto a customer in store, and they can experience exactly what the recipient of the gift will do in the next 12 months when they receive the gift. So we call it test driving your gift experience. And the title of the virtual reality activation for us is Your Virtual, Their Reality, which we quite like. And it's a first for our industry. I don't think I've seen many uses of virtual reality like this before. Not directly selling a product in a store. Debenhams are very excited about it because it's, from their point of view, it's a retailer first, and it's part of this whole. How does retail compete with online, particularly around peak season gifting, particularly when online is so easy and the pricing is so transparent and the delivery is so simple and the logistics behind it is just, with Amazon, etc., is faultless almost. How does physical retail compete with that? And the notion of creating in-store theatre, in-store experience, giving a customer a reason to come into store, not just to buy stuff, but actually to not exactly have a day out, but be stimulated in some way that otherwise it wouldn't be. And virtual reality plays perfectly into that. And I think from Debenhams' point of view, it's one of those technologies, a little bit like augmented reality, that has been, people have got excited about the technology, but nobody's been able to apply it in a commercial way. And I think our application is one of the first where we can make money selling our product by using virtual reality, which I think is really an exciting application of technology.
So just a bit on how it works then. Is there going to have to be staff on hand in the, I guess that's, so, and Debenhams were like okay with that?
Well, we have trained demonstrators,
right,
who have the headsets. We have designed stands, and interestingly we have a large plasma screen on the stand as well, because there are a number of people who like the look of it, but they don't want to put the headset on. And so we're getting a lot of that. And there seems to be, our experience so far, it's to do with age and sex. So the older the customer, the less open they are to putting this headset on, and women are less open to putting this headset on. We're not finding a problem getting young men to put the headset on, and we have to keep the kids away because we're only allowing 18-year-olds to do it. So we have to sort of fight the children off. So we've got a big plasma which is showing the films in 2D at the same time, so that we can still demonstrate and sell to people that don't actually want to put the kit on. But the demonstrators put the kit on, the customer sits in a chair, must sit in a chair, otherwise they fall over, and experience one of 4 films. in complete 360, come out of the headset. It's also sound as well, surround sound. Come out of the headset, and then we try to sell them one or two or three of our products. So that's as simple as it is.